sad news for Bachelor Nation. The golden love story ends. Gerry and Theresa's divorce, and what comes next. When ABC launched The Golden Bachelor, Bachelor Nation didn't quite know what to expect. Would love bloom the same way it had for 20-somethings in and bikinis? Could the time-worn hearts of older contestants find new rhythm under the California sun? The answer, at least for a brief, shining moment, was yes. Gerry Turner, a widower from Indiana, captured hearts across America with his gentle demeanor, striking silver hair, and honest vulnerability. He wasn't chasing clout. He was searching for what he called a once-in-a-lifetime second chance at love. And he found it in Theresa, a financial services professional and grandmother from New Jersey whose grace and poise matched Gerry's sincerity step for step. Their journey was filled with sweet notes, emotional vulnerability, and a palpable chemistry that seemed unshakable. When Gerry proposed to Theresa during the finale, tears in his eyes, voice trembling, millions of viewers believed in love all over again. And when the two tied the knot on national television in a grand ABC wedding special on January 4th, it felt like the perfect ending. Or so we thought on a somber Friday morning. Bachelor Nation collectively gasped as Gerry Turner and Theresa appeared on Good Morning America. The mood was subdued. Both wore soft smiles, but something was missing, the spark that had made fans believe in them. "We have looked closely at our situation, and we've come to the decision mutually and amicably that we will be divorcing," Gerry said gently, as Theresa sat by his side. Her nod confirmed it. The fairy tale was over. The news hit hard. Just 3 months earlier, America had watched them exchange vows beneath a golden arch of roses. Their story had become a beacon of hope not just for seniors, but for everyone who had ever wondered whether love could be rediscovered later in life. "We still deeply care about each other," Theresa added, her voice laced with emotion. "But we realize that the logistics of blending our lives at this stage are more complicated than we anticipated." Speculation is natural, especially in a fandom as passionate and invested as Bachelor Nation. From social media sleuthing to podcast breakdowns, everyone began asking, what really happened? According to sources close to the couple and comments made during the GMA appearance, the heart of the matter was geography and lifestyle. Gerry, deeply rooted in Indiana with his family and familiar rhythms, found it challenging to imagine uprooting himself permanently. Theresa, just as connected to her East Coast family and life, felt the same. They had discussed living in South Carolina, a neutral location that had seemed like a compromise. But as the reality of the move set in, the fairy tale blurred into practical roadblocks. Moving away from children, grandchildren, routines, and deeply held friendships proved to be more than just an emotional hurdle. It was Many fans pointed to this very issue as something that should have been addressed more concretely on the show. After all, love is powerful, but logistics, especially at this stage in life, carry immense weight. Despite the heartbreak, there's something undeniably profound about Gerry and Theresa's journey. It wasn't just about whether their marriage lasted forever. It was about showing the world that love doesn't expire with age, that vulnerability is beautiful, and that even in heartbreak, grace can prevail. Theresa spoke candidly about still caring for Gerry and wanting nothing but the best for him. Gerry, his voice cracking at moments, made it clear that the experience was one he'd never regret. "We were fully committed to making it work," he said. "And for a while it did. I'll always be grateful for that." Their separation wasn't born from betrayal or scandal, but from the quiet realities of life, the kind of heartbreak that feels more familiar and perhaps more human than the fireworks we often expect from television love stories. The reaction was swift and deeply emotional. Social media flooded with supportive messages, thoughtful analyses, and inevitable disappointment. Some fans voiced frustration, feeling the show had sold them a dream it couldn't deliver. "Why make it so public if they weren't ready?" One viewer tweeted. Another posted, "This still means something. My mom cried during their finale and started dating again." That's the legacy. Former Bachelor and Bachelorette contestants also chimed in. Trista Sutter, the OG Bachelorette, wrote on Instagram, Heartbroken for Gerry and Theresa, but so proud of the grace with which they've handled this. Love is never wasted. Even Jesse Palmer, host of The Golden Bachelor, posted a heartfelt message. What Gerry and Theresa gave us was real, vulnerable, and brave. Their story will always be part of Bachelor history, no matter the outcome. The beloved podcast Playing the Field, hosted by Ryan Field, Jen, and Gina, quickly dropped a special emergency episode following the GMA bombshell. Their tone was part disbelief, part heartfelt reflection. Ryan Field opened the episode with, "We've got the news. It's real. Gerry and Theresa are calling it quits." Jen added, "It's sad, but it also reminds us that these shows, especially The Golden Bachelor, have real people with real lives. We often focus so much on the romance that we forget about the reality." Then came a surprise twist for fans of the show. Gina teased, "Next week we're dropping something huge. We've got an exclusive interview lined up with someone very close to Gerry and Theresa's post-show journey. Stay tuned." The buzz was immediate. Who could it be? A producer? One of Gerry's daughters? A fellow Golden contestant? Whoever it is, Bachelor Nation will be listening that I end their GMA interview. Both Gerry and Theresa emphasized that they're not closing the door on love.
Just not with each other.
"I still believe in love," Gerry said. "Maybe not the kind you expect, but love in all its forms." Theresa, ever gracious, added, "If our story helped even one person believe in a second chance, then it was worth it." It's possible that ABC will invite either of them back for special appearances, or even Golden Bachelor, after the Rose-type specials. There's also been chatter, though unofficial, about the Golden Bachelorette. Could Theresa be a frontrunner? Fans are also speculating whether ABC might consider a Golden Bachelor Second Chance Edition, a poignant, follow-up journey for those who found love but lost it again. The short-lived marriage may cast a shadow, but it doesn't erase what Gerry and Theresa brought to the Golden Bachelor. They made history. They made us cry. They made us hope. What their divorce reminds us is that the real world doesn't bend easily to the rules of television. Even in the most romantic settings, limos, rose ceremonies, destination proposals, real life has the final say. Still, their story sparked something. An awakening that love doesn't retire. That heartbreak isn't just for the young. That it's never too late to take a chance, even if it doesn't lead to forever. Chapter 9. Playing the Field exclusive, coming the final moments of their latest podcast episode, Playing the Field left listeners with a teaser that has the fandom abuzz. "This isn't the end of the story," Ryan said. "We're going beyond the headlines. Next week's episode will be the most revealing yet." Could it be behind-the-scenes tension?
Did so.
It was supposed to be a typical Friday morning. Good Morning America buzzed with its usual cadence, headlines, weather reports, and feel-good interviews to send Americans into the weekend with smiles. But on this particular morning, Bachelor Nation stood still. Fans of The Golden Bachelor knew something was coming. Rumors had been swirling for days. Gerry Turner and Theresa Nist, the couple whose whirlwind romance had captivated viewers across generations, were scheduled for a live appearance. But something about the tone of the announcement felt off. When they finally appeared on screen, the energy in the GMA studio shifted. Robin Roberts, a seasoned anchor and respected figure in American journalism, greeted them with a gentle smile, but even she seemed cautious, as if preparing for an emotional minefield. Across millions of television screens, fans of all ages leaned in, breath held, hoping for clarification but dreading confirmation. And then Gerry said it. 3 months. 3 months had passed since America watched Gerry and Theresa exchange vows in a televised wedding spectacular. The news wasn't just surprising, it was crushing. When Gerry and Theresa got married on January 4th, 2025, their wedding wasn't just a personal milestone, it was a national celebration. ABC pulled out all the stops, a sunset ceremony, celebrity guests, heartfelt speeches, and even a performance by a Grammy-winning artist. The set was bathed in warm golden hues, meant to symbolize the maturity and richness of late-in-life love. In contrast, their GMA appearance felt stark, almost clinical. They sat side by side on a simple couch, surrounded not by roses, but by the sterile lighting of a news studio. The symbolism was clear. The fairy tale was over, and the couple was now grounded firmly in the reality of heartbreak. Yet both Gerry and Theresa maintained the grace that had endeared them to audiences from the beginning.
Dignified. Calm.
Respectful. It wasn't bitterness that filled the space. It was sorrow and an undercurrent of mutual respect. Gerry continued, his voice composed but undeniably weighted. Bachelor Nation is no stranger to breakups. From the dramatic post-show splits of couples like Ari and Becca to Peter Weber's famously tangled web of short-lived engagements, heartbreak is part of the franchise's DNA. But this felt different. The Golden Bachelor wasn't about Instagram followers or brand deals. It wasn't about hot tubs or party invites. It was about people who had already lived long, full lives, who had experienced loss, raised children, buried spouses. Viewers didn't tune in just to see drama. They tuned in to believe that love was still possible, even after a lifetime of heartbreak. That's what made the GMA announcement hit so hard. The viewers who followed Gerry and Theresa's journey weren't just fans, they were peers. Many had lost their own spouses. Many had wondered whether it was too late to start over. Gerry and Theresa had become more than just reality TV stars. They were symbols of hope. Now, watching them gently walk away from each other, the audience felt something deeper than disappointment. It was grief. Though neither Gerry nor Theresa laid out every detail, they did offer a peek into the unraveling of their union. From the moment the cameras stopped rolling, practical matters took center stage. Where would they live? How would they blend families across state lines? Who would give up the life they'd spent decades building? During the show, they had mentioned the idea of relocating to Charleston, South Carolina, a midpoint between his Indiana and her New Jersey roots. It sounded like a compromise. But compromises are easy to discuss in a fantasy suite. They're harder to execute when real life demands moving trucks, real estate agents, and emotional farewells to children and grandchildren. Gerry had been widowed since 2017, having lost his high school sweetheart, Tony, to a sudden illness. He had built a life in his Indiana lake house, one filled with memories and traditions. Theresa, likewise, was deeply entrenched in her East Coast life. She had a successful career, a close-knit family, and decades of roots planted firmly in New Jersey soil. GMA viewers are known for analyzing every micro-expression, every breath, every pregnant pause. And during the announcement, those unspoken cues spoke volumes. Though Gerry and Theresa sat close, their body language lacked the intimacy of a couple still entwined. Their shoulders were parallel, their hands never touched. They smiled, but it was the smile of two people who had already cried all their tears. Still, there was no bitterness. Gerry turned toward Theresa several times, speaking to her rather than just about her. His eyes, often misty, seemed to carry a quiet apology, a recognition of what they had built and what they couldn't hold on to. Theresa, always poised, carried herself with remarkable strength. Her voice never cracked. She nodded when Gerry spoke and occasionally interjected with soft agreement. It was as though they had practiced this, rehearsed heartbreak for the cameras. But not for performance, for closure. The most striking moment came near the end of the segment. Robin Roberts asked what they would take away from this experience in a media landscape addicted to scandal and finger-pointing. Gerry and Theresa did something rare. They modeled a breakup built on mutual care. There were no accusations, no tears for pity. Just two people who had truly tried and were strong enough to admit it wasn't working. Bachelor Nation has seen all kinds of splits. There's the ugly kind, like Jed Wyatt being exposed for having a girlfriend while proposing to Hannah Brown. There's the bizarre kind, like Clayton telling 3 women he loved them and breaking all of their hearts. But this was a different kind of heartbreak. It wasn't cinematic. It wasn't explosive. It was simply real. And in many ways, that made it harder to watch. The impact of this GMA appearance extended beyond the franchise. Senior dating apps reported a surge in user activity following The Golden Bachelor's premiere and finale. And while the divorce announcement dampened that optimism for some, It also reminded viewers of something profound. You are never too old to love. And you're never too old to leave. Relationship therapists chimed in across media outlets the day after the announcement. Articles titled Why Gerry and Theresa's Divorce Isn't a Failure and Late-in-Life Love, The Real Lessons from the Golden Bachelor appeared on CNN, The New York Times, and The Atlantic. It became clear that this moment wasn't about